All right, good Friday afternoon, and welcome to Wayfind Marketing Live. And I am joined by our co-host Annie Laurie Walters, and I'm Steve Phipps, and I'm excited about today. One, it's Friday before Thanksgiving, and two, we're continuing on with our series of navigating opportunity. Now, if you've joined us for any of our live streams or caught the podcast over the last few weeks, you know that we are in a series in which we are talking to different business owners and leaders, nonprofit leaders, and really just hearing stories of how people are navigating this year. And just hearing stories of people that are finding unexpected opportunities, figuring out how to do the unexpected and manage that. And so today, Anne Laurie, why don't you share a little bit about who our guest is today?
Sure. We're so excited to have our dear friend, Diane Smith, with us on the show. She's the executive director of Spreading Sunshine, an organization that's very near and dear to our hearts, one that we've worked with as a company and as individuals. And the reason why we invited Diane on the show today is because we've talked a lot about navigating opportunity within the context of small business, but we thought for our friends who watch and join us through the podcast that are running nonprofits, or maybe they're working at a church or even a school, there's some differences, and it would be really helpful to hear from someone who's running a nonprofit, to hear about how are you navigating through the challenges of this year? How have you continued to press on and keep your organization moving forward? And I know that Spreading Sunshine has really embraced some creative opportunities, and Diane has so many great ideas and enthusiasm. I'm excited to hear what she's going to have for us to encourage us all as we continue to navigate whatever else may come our way.
Absolutely. And so before we bring Diane in, she's waiting eagerly.
In the wing.
And so couple of quick notes. If you have any questions for Diane, feel free to drop those in the comments. So if you're joining us from LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, drop your questions, comments into the comments, and we can reply, see that, answer that. So anyway, without any further ado, I feel like this is a game show where we're bringing somebody on and, let's make a deal. Diane, how are you today? Diane, you're muted.
Oh. Hello.
Like I said, it's like a game show. Can you unmute?
We're kicking her off the island before she even starts.
Well, Diane, thanks for being on here. As Annie Laurie said, we go back with you. Of course, our family and your family go back pre-Spreading Sunshine, back to small group days working with college students. And of course, your youngest son and my oldest son are about 2 days apart in their birthdays. And just excited to hear about your story. So why don't you start off sharing a little bit about, first of all, Spreading Sunshine. Tell us what does Spreading Sunshine do? Who are you guys serving? And then we can talk more about what this year's been like for Spreading Sunshine.
Absolutely. So Spreading Sunshine is a local nonprofit here based in Memphis, and we serve families who have a child with a critical or chronic illness, and we look for ways to meet practical, emotional, and spiritual needs. One of the things that we do is we send sunshine boxes to families all over the country, and I'll show you an example. Here's a little example. This is an example of a sunshine box. Okay,
now, I'm going to say there's some great stuff in those sunshine boxes.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So it's a great tangible way to encourage children who are facing hard times. So that's what we do nationally. Here in Memphis, we partner with local hospitals, and we help provide meals to families who are at the hospital, to the parents, because if you've ever spent any time in the hospital, you know how expensive it can be. And just that's one of the ways that we love to serve families, is meeting that practical need of a meal at the hospital. So that's kind of a quick summary of what we do. We were actually started by a mom who her son was born with Down syndrome and a heart defect, and she spent quite a bit of time in the hospital. And just through her experience, she saw that families often don't have support. They're just alone. So she wanted to do something about that. Completely started as a grassroots effort. She sent the very first Sunshine Box, and it's exploded over the past several years. So
now I've got to say, because my youngest son has been in and out of the hospital over the last several years with some pretty significant surgeries and some infections related to that. And I know at one point we received one of those boxes, my wife in particular, and it really is something that's encouraging. And so for you guys, there's been a lot of growth over the past couple of years. I know maybe 18 months, 24 months ago, you guys really took a lot of initiative, formed a board of some really strong leaders. And as you mentioned, it started with Abby sending out these boxes, and that's grown, and you guys send those out nationally. And you also mentioned doing some things with the hospitals. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you guys do with the hospitals? Because I know that's kind of grown and expanded over the last year or so.
Sure, absolutely. So we, every Wednesday, actually for the past 4 years, our volunteers would prepare and provide breakfast at the FedEx Family House. The FedEx Family House is similar to what the Ronald McDonald House might be in other cities. It is a house where families who are not from Memphis, but their child's being treated in Memphis, it's a place for them to stay. So it's across from the Bonner Children's Hospital. And it's just, so that's a way that our volunteers serve every single week. Yeah. Volunteers also provide meals at the hospital to families on a floor or families at the whole hospital. So that's it's a practical, easy way for volunteers to help. And it does meet such a need. I remember one time we were at the hospital and a mom came through the line and she said, "This is so helpful. I haven't eaten a good meal, a hot meal in several days." For some families, they have limited resources. So it's just a practical way we can partner with the hospitals. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things they said, "Hey, that's a way you can help us, is to help provide these meals."
Yeah. So coming into 2020, you guys had, last year was a good year for the nonprofit, and talk a little bit about what were some of your plans and goals coming into 2020.
So we had 3 things that we were big initiatives. First is because we connect with so many families through a Sunshine Box, we've realized that it's not just the child who's sick that needs their day to be brightened, but it's the whole family. So we launched a pilot program in January 2020, called the Year of Sunshine. And the purpose is to be able to every single month send something to that family and support not just the child who's sick, but also the siblings and the parents. So that was a new program that we launched in 2020. Our second goal was we wanted to expand our meals. And so we're moving into serving at the Ronald McDonald House. We served our first dinner there in January of 2020. And, we also had groups that wanted to partner with us and volunteer, every single month. We had a team of students. So we're really looking to grow our volunteer opportunities and our volunteer base in 2020. And then finally, just one of our big goals was to be able to partner with local organizations and companies here in Memphis to be able to increase our impact, because we knew, hey, that's one of the best ways to do that. So those are kind of our 3 big goals that we had this year when we started the year.
Yeah. So when March hit, when things started shutting down and things started going topsy-turvy? What was the initial thinking in terms of spreading sunshine and the goals that you had?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll never forget that board meeting, that first board meeting after COVID hit with the board, and just the unknown, the fear, the what do we do? So because day one, we no longer were able to be in the hospital. Like no volunteers are in the hospital, so that part of what we do stopped immediately. And then also, of course, a lot of the work that we do relies on volunteers. In our office, they come in, they help us pack boxes, they help do a lot of things. And we no longer had volunteers able to come in and work in our office. I remember in the very, very early days, one of our board members, he just gave great advice. And I talked, Rick Hanna's on our board. He works at ALSAC. He's such a wise person. He's such a valuable member of our board. And he just gave us some very concrete things to do. Like first, look at our budget, go ahead and make a cut into our budget. We cut our budget by 10%. So we had to look at and evaluate how we were spending, and we had to prioritize how we would spend our money and our time. And so his direction and advice for us just tremendously kind of, it was easy in the beginning. I don't know if other business owners and other leaders felt the same way, but you almost didn't know what to do. You felt kind of stuck. You felt like, oh man, what do we do? So for us, obviously a big part of, about half of the work that we did, we couldn't do. But on the other side, what a timely year to start a program to mail sunshine to families. Our Year of Sunshine program was valuable, so valuable. The families that we serve, I think one of the things that also hit me early on in COVID was I felt like I could understand better and our others could understand more what families face. Because the families we serve before COVID, they were isolated. Their life was out of control. They were scared for their health of their child. They were weary. They were overwhelmed. Families were separated. So that was all before COVID. And so, but imagine on top of the COVID on top of that. So I feel like it gave us a greater empathy and desire to serve these families. And, so many times we would get a message and say, this mailing came at just the right time. You helped us, because even when things began to open back up, a family who has a child with a suppressed immune system, they're still sticking at home. They're still staying at home. So,
yeah. Yeah. So, okay, go ahead, Annie Laurie.
Diane, I was going to ask, I think that I remember hearing one of your team members tell me that there's some other creative ways that y'all have been working around the providing meals issue. Do you want to share about that creative twists to the story?
Absolutely. So, when we look at our budget, one of our costs is providing those meals. And a meal that's provided at the hospital does have to be catered. It can't be cooked. And so we were able to partner with some local restaurants. Chick-fil-A and Bartlett stepped up, and because of them, we've been able to continue to provide meals at the FedEx Family House. Right now, we're able to provide vouchers for families at the hospital. We can't provide food at the hospital, but we can provide vouchers. We also, if we have a family that's in our Spreading Sunshine community that's been in the hospital, we've been able to meet them outside and do a contactless drop-off, volunteers and staff masks. So we've been able to work around and still continue to provide the meals. It just looks a little bit different, and it's been hard. I look at pictures of, our sunshine volunteers and aprons, our sunshine aprons, but we're still able to provide it. It just doesn't feel quite the same. So yeah.
I know you missed the personal touch, but what I love about that is that you found a way around it.
Mm-hmm.
And you persevered through it, and you're still able to meet a need that I know is really well received by the people who are on the other end of it. So that's great that you kept pressing forward.
And one thing that happened, which was a surprise, was we've built relationships. We partner with and work with the Quality of Life for All team at Le Bonheur and St. Jude, and they serve families who their children are on palliative or hospice care. And so we have, for some time now, they would contact us and say, hey, a family has a need, and we would help meet that need. But the interesting thing that happened when COVID hit was we began to see them more. Obviously, the needs were increasing, so we really our relationship deepened with them, and we're able to share more about kind of our heart and how we want to serve families. And so they've actually began to refer families to us. So we have also begun to be able to serve local families at a deeper level. We have a family right now that has become like family to us. Our volunteers we drop off meals to their home a few times a week. I think Annie Laurie, you were one of the volunteers that helped with that, right? So, and this is a family of 9. So it helps them so much. I mean, the mom's at the hospital, and so she's able to come back, and the meal's already provided. So it looks different, but it's also been such a gift to be able to serve that deeply with a family. And so through our partnership now with Quality of Life, we're able to still connect with families and actually serve more deeply, which has been cool. So
what are some ways that you've been staying connected with your volunteer base, which I know is a big part of what Spreading Sunshine does?
We were so happy when the volunteers could come back into the office. We were like, we have been, I'll talk about a couple things. One is we partner with Volunteer Odyssey, and it's a local organization that helps match volunteers with their ideal volunteer opportunity. And, they contacted us. They had this idea to host a virtual volunteer day. And so they invited us to be one of the nonprofits that would be a part of their virtual volunteer day. And so we had a project that volunteers could do to help us, which is make a sunshine card. That's something everybody can do, is make a sunshine card that we can put in our sunshine boxes. So on Virtual Volunteer Day, we were interviewed and highlighted what the project was. And then during that hour, the volunteers put together the cards. And it was amazing because we connected with new people we never would have met. And it's also allowed us to create DIY opportunities that volunteers can do from home. Right now we're working on, our big goal is to be able to send 1,000 sunshine boxes. So we have mobilized our volunteers and our board and our staff and created a peer-to-peer fundraising opportunity. And so our friends, our Sunshine Friends, have taken the Sunshine Box Challenge, and they're helping us reach our goal to fund and send and touch the lives of 1,000 families. So that's pretty exciting. We're off to a great start. I mean, this kind of leads us into our big final push will be the week of Giving Tuesday. And we have a lot of great fun things planned. We're calling that Sunshine Week. And we have, we're doing something every day for the families that we serve in the hospital. We're doing meals every day that week. So it's pretty exciting.
One thing I want to point out that I think is really cool about everything you just said is that, this has been a year when we've been stuck at home. There have been quarantines. I've heard a lot of people say, don't waste this opportunity. And this is a way to make the most of this. Like, I know a lot of people have felt like, I know a lot of my teacher friends who have been quarantined as of lately. They're like, man, we're back at home. We're stuck. Like, what house project can I do? Well, maybe you can volunteer in a way that you didn't think was there. But, these things that you're describing, these are things anybody can do from home, and it makes a big impact, and you can reach more people. So I think it's worth mentioning that this is a great opportunity while we're, facing these quarantines unexpectedly, here and there. Get involved, write a letter, make a meal, send a meal.
We've had lots of conversations just in general this year about working from home. And so this is an opportunity to give from home, to serve from home.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
so, Diane, I know that, and for any nonprofit, fundraising is critical. And I know that a lot of nonprofits rely on in-person events, or as you mentioned, you guys have lots of volunteers who participate in a variety of different ways. And of course, a lot of that is not an option right now. And so one of the things that I love that you guys have done is you've continued to build on things that were already in place. I know you've been doing a lot to reach out to business partners and to build some of those relationships. But why don't you talk a little bit about this big campaign that's going on right now? Because as it is for a lot of nonprofits and ministries, this time of year is critical. And so share a little bit more about the 1,000 family, this push to really to serve 1,000 families with these boxes. And how's that going, and how can people get involved?
Sure, absolutely. So, we, especially moving into 2021, I mean, a lot of places around the country are already starting to experience some more shutdowns. So we really want to think about what can we do to ensure that we have the funding that we need to be able to continue our work. And we have great relationships with people, and how can we get involved? How can we work together? So that's the idea of rallying people to come together to help help send the sunshine boxes. So I want to tell you about one. There's one of our graphic designers. She lives in Illinois, and she took the Sunshine Box Challenge, and she set a goal, and she was like, "Oh, it was a big, scary goal." She wanted to raise $1,000. And she just got creative with it. She's a graphic designer. She's connected to a lot of businesses around the country. And she has created a shop small business group where the businesses paid $50 to be a part of the group. And I mean, the thing's going crazy. And so people are shopping different businesses. They donated to Spreading Sunshine to be a part of this group, and they're getting new eyeballs on their products and services. So I think that's neat because that's a great example. It's very creative. So the Sunshine Box Challenge is we're asking people to set up a fundraising page. It's super easy, and just commit to help us send sunshine boxes, whether they raise whether they raise $50 and everyone who fundraises $50 or donates $50 gets a free t-shirt. Most people are trying to raise at least $250, which is 5 boxes. So it's just a great way. And we're coming together. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this past year for me is the importance of working together, the importance of, I remember my husband said to me very early on when COVID hit, he said, do not quit looking at what you don't have and what you can't do. And think about what you do have, what resources you do have at your disposal and what you can do. And man, that's really shaped kind of how we've approached things. So we do have a great community of volunteers and donors and business partners. So the Sunshine Box Challenge is just, we're all working together to get this done. So, I'll tell you, so like in December, just kind of give it some framework. In December, we're sending out sunshine to about 160 people. So that's just, so that's kind of that just helps us kind of plan ahead. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so I just had it on the screen. So for folks who are listening to this on the podcast, you can get more information about the Sunshine Box Challenge. If you go to the website spreading-sunshine.org and then go to the Get Involved page. And so you'll see some information there, and there's a link that goes to the Sunshine Box Challenge page. And so you can see here, you can donate, you can become a fundraiser. There are a lot of different ways. And I want to challenge business owners to get involved. because this is a great way to put your business to work, to do something to give back to families. Because families are who are normally isolated anyway are even more isolated now because of everything going on. So their needs haven't changed. Their needs have only grown stronger. And so, Diane, given that everything that you've gone through this year, and this is not your first experience in nonprofit, I know you've been in nonprofit for a portion of your career. So, in the last few minutes, what encouragement would you give? Would you share to other nonprofit leaders, to other business owners, entrepreneurs, just anybody that's watching and listening? What encouragement would you give them?
Well, first of all, I would say the value that we've received from focusing on relationships, building those collaborations, looking for ways to encourage one another, because we're all facing the same things. Like for business owners, nonprofit leaders, I don't think any of us said, "Hey, I want to lead in a global pandemic." I mean, it probably would not be on our list of, bucket list of things to do. So it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's just a challenge, constantly having to reprioritize. So just look for the people that you can connect with and you can encourage one another. I meet with another nonprofit leader in town on a monthly basis. That's been valuable for me. And then I think that seeking advice and listening to people has also been, I don't have all the answers, but it's been incredible to get new ideas and creativity from other people. And finally, I think for me, what I've had to remember this whole time is why. Go back to the why. Like when you're stuck and you're tired and you just feel like you can't do it anymore, go back to your why. I mean, my passion, my desire. I mean, I've been working with families with sick kids for about 10 years now. And anytime I get I'm tired, I go back to think about what do they face and what, just to be able to come alongside them, stand beside them, stand in the gap, that re-energizes me. And take a break, get outside, go for a walk. I mean, do what you get in the sunshine. That's
absolutely. No, that's great advice. And one of the things that you shared early on that I thought was very pivotal is that you guys do have a strong board. You have wise counsel. And of course, for nonprofits, you've got to have a board as a part of your legal organizational structure. But a lot of businesses don't have any sort of a board. It's voluntary if you do. I mean, obviously some companies have to have a board, but a lot don't. And so having those sources of counsel, people that you can connect with, peers who understand, mentors. And one of the things I'll mention too, as we wrap up, is I think it's amazing to see the community that has grown around Spreading Sunshine. And it's you guys have 18,000 plus people who like and follow your Facebook page. I know you have other communities. And so it's not a small operation. I know, organizationally, maybe it feels small, but the impact that you guys are having is big, and God's going to continue to use that. And so thank you for coming on and sharing your story and lessons learned. And for our viewers, our listeners, appreciate you joining us. And again, if you head over to Spreading Sunshine, spreading-sunshine.org. You can learn more. You can give a box. Again, I want to challenge some businesses out there. Get involved, especially for businesses that are doing really well this year. Get over there and do something. Let's help encourage some other families and bless some folks that are in some tough spots. Diane, thanks again for being on here. Any parting thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
I want to say one more thing that I went to training with Sandler training when this first started. And when everybody was like, oh man, what do we do? And one of the things that Andrew Gieselman said was, you need to think about where you want to be. When this is over, where do you want to be? Where do you want to emerge from? And focus on building relationships, giving value, and just making steps to get toward where you want to be. And I feel like that concrete, that vision, having that vision is so important, whether that's in your business or your nonprofit. Like, remember your why, but then also where are you headed? Where, because it's easy to get stuck and focus on the challenges and the difficulties, but really to think about where you want to be. So,
yep, absolutely. Good word, good encouragement. And so just for everybody, we will be pushing this out on our podcast by the first part of next week. So feel free to catch it there. Search for Wayfind Marketing Live. You can catch us on just about every podcasting platform out there. You can catch the replay on our website, on YouTube, on our Facebook channels. And so we invite you to follow along. Next week, we'll be taking off because of Thanksgiving, but we will be back the week after that with Shay Peffley, who is a friend of ours, and she is with EOS, and so Traction, which is a system for running businesses. Fantastic. She's going to share some ideas and thoughts with us on how to get your business ready for 2021. And so that will be another great Wayfind Marketing Live. But until then, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. And thanks for joining us today, guys.
Bye. Hi.
That's so funny.
You would think after all this time, I would actually know how to end the broadcast.
I mean,
Here we go. Let's try that again.